All right, we're live. Hey guys, hey Shane, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Awesome. We're super pumped to have you with us. We'll just wait 1 or 2 seconds in case anybody's still jumping on before we jump into everything. Um, you've been out on the job site today, Shane?
Yes, I'm renovating a bathroom for a family member this past 2 weeks.
Okay, awesome. Is that I get paid with thanks and you're invited to
No,
Thanksgiving or actual
a
pay?
little bit, but it's worth it. Good folks.
Okay, awesome. As a former tradesman and then a general contractor, I did my share of pay the family dues, and my dad helped, and other family members have helped for free over the years on my various projects. So, anyways, let's
Yeah.
get going. Welcome to the BarnKNOW 101 show. We're going to talk about all things Barndominium here, and tonight we have Shane Kitchen, and Shane's up in the thumb area. He's probably the most active person in our Facebook group. A wealth of knowledge and information about plans, designing, permitting, construction ground up. A barndominium as basic as a garage with no heat or insulation, all the way to a finished residential structure. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, and commercial too.
Commercial as well, which actually until recent years we probably saw a lot more commercial barndos than we ever did residential.
Correct. I built my
Yeah.
first barn in 1986.
1986. I guarantee half of our audience or more tonight was not alive in 1986.
Yeah, I know that. I'm old.
That's okay.
I know.
I was born in the late 70s. So we do want to get after it. So I've got a list of questions here that I'm going to ask you. And if comments come up, I'll keep glancing over here on the Facebook Live and we'll answer those kind of as we can. But first and foremost, give us real quick about Shane Kitchen, about your business, drawing plans, drafting plans for people, and then a real quick overview of what you do, and we'll get to the questions.
I got licensed in 1986. Didn't take any college or anything. I had a teacher and a person that I renovated. I turned Greyhound buses into coaches, and they all told me to go out and do something. Don't go to work for somebody else. And so I moved back up to Carroll, where I'm from. I grew up in Lapeer. I had much more family up here to help out and be, I guess, references, friends of friends type thing. Built my first house shortly after I got my license because of that and knowing the people around town. I've built 100 custom homes, probably well over 500,000 square feet of post frame construction, commercial and residential. And I'm still building. I built a house on Lake Huron this year. A lot of print work though. That's what I want to do. I'm 61 years old. I can still walk trusses, but not like I used to.
As an old framer, I understand, and I'm glad my feet are on the ground most days now. Okay, first question: what permits are you getting pulled to start the project? And we're going to be a little bit in and out of order, but that's okay.
Sure. There's some permits that people don't realize that you need, like a driveway permit, and you got to go to your road commission to obtain that, flag it. That's one of the first ones you have to do. Then there's a well and septic permit, which is required before you can even go into building codes. And then when you go to apply for your building permit, and then zoning permit, you got to have a zoning permit, and you usually have to turn in plans so they know what you're building there with your setbacks to make sure you're meeting zoning requirements. Then the building permit comes in next, and that requires a plan review, and the state of Michigan says they're to have that done within 10 days. And if there's no rejections there or problems, you can obtain your permit then.
Okay, so good. And I have a sneaky suspicion a lot of people listening, they're interested in building a barno or they're starting the process. And I can't caution enough, before you even get into plans or permit, sit down and figure out the process, which is, oh crap, I didn't know I needed a road permit, right?
Yep.
So don't start your process by going out and getting a road permit. Sit down and plan and chart out all the steps that will even come long before that, right? All right,
Correct.
great. Next question. How long does it take? And I think you already kind of hit on that, which is the state says 10 days, but legitimately, if I've got all the information ready and I walk into the township, and then they kick it back maybe one time for some revisions. How long should I plan for the permitting process to get an approved permit so we can put machines on the ground, start breaking down trees and moving dirt?
A minimum 4 weeks. I mean, it just doesn't happen that fast. Administration, some municipalities are not open every day. They're only open 2 or 3 days a week or something, and you'll run into conflicts with that.
Yeah, and keep this in mind, in those small townships, you're spot on. The person you may be dealing with works part-time or works for another township, so they may only be available 1 or 2 days a week and have really limited resources available to them to help you. I'm sure on a future video we'll talk about how that maybe works in your favor when they're not as knowledgeable or uptight in some of the small townships. That may make your process, your construction a little bit easier. All right, number 3. So we're in those initial planning stages, right? We're looking at getting our permits. We've either done our plans or we've got a rough idea, maybe a sketch. Maybe then we're calling Shane to get construction drawings made. What problems do we run into in that planning stage with permits into construction drawings? And how long should we budget time-wise?
Banks require you to be done in 9 months, most of them. You know, there's time frames within your lending institutions, and they get really nervous if you take the full length of time. I've built a house in as little as 31 days, and I've also went 11 months on a house and had to get an extension, but it was $1 million house and it was quite complex. But I was behind schedule with the owner, and, you know, there was not repercussions, but, you know, it was crunch time and time to make it move.
Gotcha. What other things have you run into, issues or problems that you had to kind of overcome in those first stage plan submittal, getting the permit, or maybe those early inspections for site work?
Site prep is critical. You have to have a driveway in, you got cement trucks, delivery trucks, stuff coming in, people coming in. If you can't get in and out, you're not going to get your home built. The other thing is materials availability, which we're seeing bigger problems than we have in the past with the COVID situation. Budget, price of materials can go up. Then that can become a little bit of a problem. You know, the homeowner thinks that you're driving the price up and making all the money, and that's just not the case. Subcontractors, utilities availability. You know, you might be waiting 6 months for DTE or Consumers Power to bring one or the gas or the electric in. There can be a lot of it, and that's why the more you're on top of everything you have going on, as you spoke of, that your job will go smoother.
Yeah, what's that old saying? You'll excuse the language, but proper preparation prevents piss poor performance.
Absolutely.
I can't stress enough how much anybody considering any custom build, especially a Barno, which is not as common and has some extra layers of expertise needed, like just how much you should spend as much time as you need and a little bit extra in the planning stages. Because again, if you get extensions from a bank or you're using a construction loan and you've got a rate lock and that expires and rates go up because you should have waited 6 months until the power company had power to your lot, man, you're going to be in a world of hurt. I mean, you talk about wrecking your finances. A 1% interest rate hike on a $500,000 custom build is a lot of hundreds of dollars extra a month, all because you didn't plan properly in the beginning. So plan, prepare, prevent, be proactive. So, all right, let's get a little bit more into the plan. What next question? What in your mind makes a floor plan great, and why should we be looking at this kind of a floor plan makes sense with a Barno versus a traditional stick build?
To me, there's not much difference between a traditional stick built and a Barno. Any home that you see can be built in what is technically called residential post frame construction. The true Barnos built with posts. We have a code in the state of Michigan, a foundation code code that says you're to have a continuous footing under all of the living area walls. People are running into issues with that and having to put foundations down. And then why do a post frame when you have a foundation there? Your posts are your foundation. And so there's some of it. But the most important thing is customer input. This is their home. And as a designer and as a builder, it's not my job or the designer's job to make sure that the customer's getting what they want and it looks attractive, or it looks like they want it to look like. In the beginning, before internet, folks would come to me with 2 different magazines, like from the grocery store, with the plans in them. Well, I like the inside of this one, but I want the outside to look like this. And so that's what I would do. I would combine the 2. And it just comes out to be a happy medium. Or, you know, you sacrifice something all the time to get the perfect home. I've done 300 designs in 24 months in the Facebook Barndos, and I have a group that I have 120 or so plans. I've only sold 3 existing plans out of 300. You know, so buying a stock plan doesn't happen with me very often. I see a lot of the other designers say stock plan available, stock plan available. And I don't know why, but you know, it's just easy for me to make changes and make sure that the Barndo is what they want.
Gotcha. So that kind of rolls right into, you know, my next question, which is stock plans versus truly custom. And do you find that a lot of it is still your client ends up picking a stock plan, brings it to you, and then you customize that to their tastes?
Correct. But there's so many locations to find a plan. You got Pinterest, you got Google, you know, and I tell my customers, whatever size home you're wanting, whether it's a ranch or a 2-story, whatever, Google that square foot, like 1,800 square foot ranch. Find something that appeals to you, because if you give me guidance when I'm as a designer, it's going to be cheaper. If I have to dream it up, and we go through multiple changes of the floor plan, not just revisions, I mean a complete do-over, which I've done many times, obviously I have to charge more. But when they come and approach me with a plan that they're kind of happy with, but they want this done, that done, it's much easier to get it on paper quicker and more economical for them.
For sure. And having been in the higher end custom building game with traditional frame houses for years, when we were paying anywhere from $2 to $5 a square foot for architect fees, and people get out there and they make a change, we're not talking a couple hundred or a couple $1,000. We're talking tens of thousands just to move a bank of windows or change it to a door. So again, plan, and prevent those problems by proper planning. Awesome. I just want to remind everybody who's on the call, we will do a drawing at the end. We're going to give away a $25 Amazon gift card right at the end of this. So stick around for that if you are in the drawing. And if you've got questions, put them in the chat wherever you're watching, and we'll have Shane answer those as we go along. So next question for me, continuing on that theme, is you said maybe you can find your plans on Google or Pinterest. Any other places you like to go for somebody who's looking for some inspiration? Like, we have an Instagram account for Michigan Barndominium Life, and we follow a bunch of other Instagram accounts of barndos and tiny houses. Where else do you get your inspiration?
I get it from the same locations. You know, I see something I like, I take interest in it, I critique it, how I might change it or do it different. And even my own plans in my group get used by others, and I don't design it for them. I make it so they can download it, or they can, you know, take the picture, go do what they want with it. I mean, there's so much of that going on, we can't stop it. There's really not a copyright law in most of what we're seeing in our barndos. They're a rectangular home, and they're, you know, and there's millions of them, and honest to goodness, there's going to be a duplicate of whatever you're building someplace in the United States. Now, if it gets really elaborate and cut up and beautiful, well, then sure, you got to be careful that there could be a copyright infringement. But the copyright law says if you make 30% change, it's no longer an infringement on copyright. So it depends on how much you're copying and how much you're following what you want to build, using as a reference.
Right on. Okay, first couple of questions. We're gonna attack one of these right now and then maybe the other one a little bit later. What most common design correction? What's the most common design mistake you're seeing maybe?
Not big enough doorways, stairways. That is the biggest thing. People do not realize how much room a stairway takes up. We're talking 3 feet to 13 feet to go from floor 0 up to your second floor. If you have a 9-foot ceiling, then you have 1 foot of floor joist system. You're climbing 10 feet, which is 120 inches. And you can only have a 7. You don't want to. You can have a max riser of 8¼ inches.
Don't
Or
want that.
8 inches, and you don't want that. And
Yeah.
sometimes they'll put the stairway and they try to tuck a bathroom under it, or they think that you can still get into your bedroom and the stairway's halfway into the bedroom. They think there's that much room, but honestly, stairways is the biggest thing.
Yeah, awesome. I'm glad you mentioned stairways because tons of people want to take advantage of having a little bit less expensive finished square footage, which we know that if you build a ranch, it's going to be more per square foot than if you build a 2-story. And we see all the time that people try to cram stairs in the worst locations and make them as steep and shallow as possible. You guys go with a nice 7-inch rise maximum and a nice 12-inch tread at least so they're comfortable, and make them more than 3 feet wide. Make them 42 inches so it's easy to get a king size bed up them, right?
Agree 100%. Truly do.
Yeah.
And on that ranch versus the 2-story, if you have a 2-story barn with a big open area below, from the second story, you're not saving that much money because you're literally building 2 floors. You have to be careful. And as the builder, and you'll say the same thing, John, would you rather work 22 feet in the air setting trusses, or would you rather be 9 feet in the air setting trusses? There's a whole different attitude when you're that high in the air. So your labor is going to be more on a 2-story than it is a single story. And that can be considerable.
Yeah. And, the traditional thought with a traditional framed house is different in a 2-story because you put up 8 or 9 foot walls, build a deck on it, put up your necks. It's easy to go. And
Correct.
You're only having to put in half as much foundation. So a traditional build ranch, you have twice as much foundation and it's not much savings on your framing.
Correct.
However, with a barn that's not the case. And I think most people are going to decide right up front, we want a ranch, we're doing all main floor living, or we want a 2-story. Or maybe we want a ranch with 16-foot ceilings and amazing views of the lake, and we'll tuck a little loft, for a second reading nook upstairs that doesn't add much in the way of cost. So, all right, good stuff. Another question came up on cost per square foot. We'll go there later. We can spend that's what everybody wants to know now. We can spend an entire episode just on cost. And next month, I'm going to interview a local lender who's set up to construction loans for Barndominiums. We'll talk about that more then. My next question right now is, how soon in the process really do we need to nail down that floor plan, right? Are we really even going to be able to, in most places, pull any of the permits and start doing side work without that floor plan and the construction drawings completed? Can we get in there and cut a pad and put in our well and septic if we don't have full building permit?
Most places, no. You can do your well and septic because that's available through the health department, and you have to do that first before building codes. But I would frown on that. You put them in first, you're cutting your own throat. What if somebody backs into the well, the concrete truck, drives over your septic field, etc.? Those should be, your outside of your home should be done before those get in. And you should also do them before you do your finished driveway. I've seen concrete trucks and well trucks hurt driveways, asphalt, tear up yards. It's just all part of the process.
Yeah, a little more do the proper preparation and be preventive, and you'll avoid problems, change orders, and everything else. And if anybody's ever built a custom home, like the biggest dirty word in a custom home is change order. As contractors, I don't like them because it means we're slowing down and having to do different work that wasn't planned for, and the client never likes them because it's cost plus 20 or 30% to make the change. So just, again, if you take anything away from tonight, it's do your homework and plan, prevent the problems.
With our 3D in the world of design now, the customer can see it so much better than they used to be with our 2D hand-drawn prints, and even when we first started with our CAD system. The software that I use started into the 3D world in the mid 90s, and that was a big step forward. AutoCAD and the other 2D design programs didn't catch up for years. They're there now to be competitive, so you can see that. But being able to see it before you go for it is a huge, huge comfort.
Yeah, 100%. And real quick side note on that, I was doing classes learning AutoCAD in the late 90s at the community college and drawing some of my own plans as a builder and remodeler, decades ago. What's really cool and what is right around the corner is before you know it, Shane's going to draw up a set of prints for us, and then you're going to slip on your Oculus headset and you're going to virtually walk through the house he's designed for you. Because let's be honest, 99% of the population can see a 2D plan and they can't feel or understand the space. And then you can put together a 3D model today that gives people a lot better understanding of the space, but a lot of people still spatially can't understand what that's going to feel like. But within the next 5 to 10 years, everything's going virtual reality. All of a sudden, Shane uploads his prints into whatever MetaQuest Oculus. You slip on your headset that costs $200 at Amazon, and you walk through what he's designed. That's going to be exciting. I'm excited to live in this time for stuff like that.
We can provide that now. We do have a walkthrough option with our design software. And then I also have what's called a client viewer that I can let the customer download, and they can look at any camera shot, any 3D view. They can even see the framing if they click on the framing camera. And
yeah, is that similar to the Matterport that we use in real estate to take the 3D models of a new listing, where you can pan through and walk through it? Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I strongly suggest everybody who's going to build a custom home of any type would do that. I mean, that technology is available today. Don't wait to build until you can do a virtual reality. And if you haven't seen one of those, just scroll your local Zillow listings or whatever until you find a real estate listing that has a Matterport and do the 3D walkthrough. It's night and day versus just looking at pictures.
With our rendering that's available with our softwares too, we're making our software, it's 98% of a photograph. I mean, it's that accurate and detailed if you want to go that far into it.
Yeah, the technology piece is really come a long ways, and it's cool because I think it prevents a lot of problems, which leads into our next question is, how far down in the process can we make a change? I already know the answer. As long as you got a checkbook, we can make a change at any point, right? Like, but realistically, maybe you address like, what are kind of the milestones in building where making a change isn't a big expensive deal?
Oh, if you change a window or a door to a smaller size where you're not changing the framing opening, that's not a big deal. You make it bigger and you've got a problem. I framed a house and the lumberyard salesman came to me and says every window in the house is wrong, and it was their fault.
Wow.
Because I provide a print to them and I don't always spec the windows out. I give the sizes. So the lumber company provided the rough openings for all the windows. I built 30 houses in 3 summers in the Flint area, and that was where it happened at. They were just simple ranches, 15 to 2,300 square feet, something like that. A couple of Cape Cods. But you shouldn't, if your builder doesn't want to handle changes or do them, that's not fair. I mean, everybody has a change. Everybody sees something, and to move a window, and it depends on how you are at your framing, that doesn't take days or something. You're talking hours. And if that's to make the customer happy, a good builder wants that, because that customer that's happy is going to get them more work than advertising. And, that's a good thing for the builder.
Yeah, I just will caution, when he talks about that maybe only a couple hours of work, we're talking when we're putting the shell up. If you're drywalled in with rough trades in the walls, electrical, none of that's run, all of a sudden we're talking those thousands to tens of thousands potentially just to move a door or a window. So
no question.
Again, get in there early, be active on your job site, not in the way of the tradesman, but be out there, because a lot of people, again, you can't feel and understand how things look or feel off a plan or a rendering always. You walk in there and you go, holy crap, that window's way too small. Can we enlarge it? Well, if you've drywalled and put trim up, sure, here's your change order. It's $27,000 to change that window in that structural wall versus can we catch that early?
And as a builder, I wanted my customers to come around and see what was going on, because it was like the 3D walkthrough that you were just speaking of earlier. This is 15 years ago. And if they can see the stud, and the house will go through changes. When it's framed in, it looks small. You get the drywall up, it looks big. You paint it, it goes back to, medium sized. But if a builder's afraid to have the customer around, or doesn't want the customer around, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't want them out there for 3 hours a day throwing the ball
Correct.
for the dog. But get out there in the morning and the night when the crews are not going to have you underfoot, and stay involved, because you can head off a lot of problems. A couple
But there's
more
actually a
questions.
liability and a danger side to it too,
Yep.
having them on the job site, and so they shouldn't be there alone during frame-in. That you should be there with them. Of course, it's their home. If they want to go there, you can't stop it. But you got to take caution.
Yeah. All right. A couple more questions and then we'll wrap it up. You as a builder and a designer, you've been doing it a long time. What's maybe the project, or whether that's a house or commercial, that you're kind of most proud of being involved with?
I built a 33,000 square foot Yamaha dealership in 2016 here in Carroll, Michigan, and I designed it too. And it's one of the most energy efficient structures in the state of Michigan because of spray foam and proper insulation. And it's all 100% post frame, the entire thing.
Oh, that's very cool. If you got anything on that, put it in the group tomorrow or later tonight. We'd love to see.
I've posted it a couple of times, and it was on a billboard. And that was the most gratifying thing, and it's still on billboards all over my area. And I am not gonna kid you, it's neat to see. It really is. And then the largest residential house in 1992, I built a 3,000 square foot house for a family, and in 2017, I was there 30 months. I put a 26,000 square foot addition on this 3,000 square foot house that I built in 1992. And it was all ICF construction. I was the building contractor that took care of the wood floors, the framing and stuff like that, the interior walls. And then the truss package. There's 8 truss companies in the state of Michigan, and only one would even bid it. And they wouldn't bid it unless they had a reputable builder help them design the trusses. And there was a round room that was 60 foot wide. And the architect out of Rochester, I says, well, how do you want to frame this? How do you want to build it? He goes, I don't know. Talk to the framer. I says, well, I am the framer. And I ended up designing the trusses with a compression ring collar. And that way I did the round roof, ended up getting a letter written about it to all the truss engineers in the United States. It didn't reference me personally, but the software owner of the MyTech company messaged me and said, Shane, you were the catalyst on this, and that's why we wrote the letter to the truss engineers.
Well, that's awesome.
Very, very fun.
Yeah, that's super cool. How many Yamahas do you own?
Actually, I ride Polaris.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, let's find you a Polaris dealer that we can build a 100,000 square foot showroom.
There you go.
Last question, because a lot of people have been asking, and they're at this stage. What's the opposite of a red flag? So what's a green flag? What are a couple of things to look for when you go looking for a contractor, general contractor, to manage a job and make sure it gets done right, on target with your timing and in budget?
Confidence, references. If you're talking to a builder and he's trying to talk you out of a barn door or what you want, we were talking green flag, but that's a red flag. You want somebody that's ready to dive in, and obviously you need to check that person out, whether it's something they built or talk to some of the customers they've worked for. Pricing can be if you find one that's in the middle of the road, you got super low prices and super high prices. The middle of the road is a green flag, and if they're a good builder, that's it. Go with it.
Yeah, we're not going to dive into that question we had from Facebook earlier, which is the average cost per square foot for a fully finished Barndominium, because as we've discussed 100 times, it's way too vague. There's way too many variables to tackle that. We'll probably dedicate a whole show or I'll run a whole video on it at some point in the
Well,
future.
let's show them the variables.
So,
You know, you put in a $10,000 kitchen or an $80,000 kitchen, and it can be the same cabinet company, and there can be that. It's like a Chevette or a Cadillac. It's all
exactly.
in options. That's what I tell the customers.
Mhm.
Building a house is just like buying a car. And I've built houses for folks that they pick out what they want, the cabinets, the windows, etc., and bam, we're over budget. I'll say, okay, let me take over the choice of materials. I'm not going to vary from what you have, but I'm going to pick the companies that we're buying it from. And I'm not going to give them a bad product because it's going to hurt my reputation or my builder experience. And that's how you get this price worked out to where you can build it at. This timber frame stuff we're seeing everywhere, you know, these timber trusses are $5,000 each. You know, and
Wow.
yes, they look good. Yes, I want that. Oh my gosh, yes, I want 8 of them across the. Well, when they find out it's $40,000 for them, you know, it changes everything. You can build a fake one for 500, and that's the route that you usually end up going.
Yeah, and it's a lot more than just the finishes too. There's a ton of stuff. I own 10 acres. I don't want to hear the road. So I have a 500-foot paved driveway? Do my site costs start my build at $150,000 because I also have a $35,000 engineered septic system, and on, right? Are we trenching 500 foot back to your house with your utility line? So we're not gonna go deep on prices in this one. Just leave it to say that, as I constantly remind people, your building cost is going to be $250 a square foot or more for finished condition space in almost all cases for a custom home right now. And if somebody told you they can put one up for $150, run the other way. That's a red flag.
No question.
So yeah, and I'll plug one more thing. Do your research, do your homework. Somebody that's been around a long time, like Shane. I'm not here to plug Shane. He's here of his own goodwill to help people and help educate people. But somebody who's been in business 2, 3, 4 years, I'm not going to trust them to build my house necessarily. Everybody does have to start somewhere. I'm looking for somebody with good reviews, good reputation, and I hire people on multiple occasions a year. I'm usually hiring somebody for one of my businesses. I go 3 deep on their references. I don't ask a builder, hey, send me the information from some past clients, because they're going to cherry pick the best ones, right? I want you to give me a list of all the houses you built in the last 2 years and the contact information for all of those people, and then I'll do my homework. So that will really pay dividends. And the other thing is, social media is awful and it's beautiful both. But we know you can jump on social media and find out real quick if somebody's bad, because everybody talks about a bad experience. Very few people talk about the good experience. We know in customer service, it takes about 10 good experiences to wipe out one bad. So yeah, do your homework on builders. Well, I really want to thank you for your time tonight. Anything you want to say before we wrap it up, Shane?
I enjoy what I do. I enjoy being on the sites. I really do. I get 20 to 30 messages, not about plans, but about questions on what's going on in their project. And I've even gotten on the dirty side of some things, you know, where they're getting taken to the cleaners, and I know the legalities of stopping construction, getting things under control, and it's a shame we hear about that. But builders, or the building industry, has always had a bad rap, and that's why if you're a good builder, you're always going to be behind schedule. If you're a good builder, you can't help it. You know, you're on a job. Oh, I want to do this. Well, you can't take off on that customer. You need to wrap that up, and that delays the next project. Now, it can't be a ridiculous amount, but it's just a fact of life. The good ones are busy all the time. If somebody says they can start tomorrow, there better be a darn good reason why they're available to start tomorrow, especially in what's going on today. We have a huge labor shortage. 20 years ago, I could get carpenters, you know, all over the place. Now, you know, it's a rarity to find a good young carpenter that can get going. I used to be on the construction trades in our VOTEC school, on the committee, on the board, and I would take kids right out of that class. They've closed it. They don't even do it anymore at our vocational school. So, you know, but it's changing. What's also happened in the builder world is, you know, truly we haven't paid the workers enough. to keep them in our trades. It's not easy. It's dangerous. It's hard work. You know, you got to be physically fit, etc. But I've enjoyed it. I really have.
Yeah, and meanwhile, everybody's like, how can we get a house built for $180 a square foot? And you're over here saying, how do we pay our guys more so we have good people that care about their craft and their trade? How can we pay them more and make the cost of your home more? And these two things have really come to a head. So, little real estate fact, in approximately this century, so probably since around 2000, it's estimated between 5.5 and 6 million houses don't exist in our market because we're behind on building them. So we have 5 to 6 million houses that are missing in America, and we're not going to catch up. Like builders in the last few years are running 1 to 2% above average or a little bit below, and we'd need 20 years of 5 to 6% above average building just to get back on track. That's not going to happen. So housing prices are going to stay high. Custom builds are going to stay high because we have a labor shortage and good builders are expensive. And we have material shortages, supply chain issues, all that other stuff. So we'll get more into that in another time. We've gone a long time. I want to thank you all for watching the BarnKNOW show. If you like it, follow us. We're on Instagram. We have a YouTube channel now. We obviously have this Facebook group. We have the Michigan Barndominium Life Facebook page as well. And leave comments, leave questions even after the video is over. Shane's really active. I'm really active in the group. We'll get answers to your questions. And we'd love to know what topics you want to hear about next time, right? Like what besides how much does it cost? Can we do a show on? Can we do short informational videos on? Because that's what we're all about. So thanks so much, Shane. We're going to wrap it up by doing our giveaway for the $25 Amazon gift card, and then we will see you the next time.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon.
See you, buddy. All right. There's just about, well, it looks about 10 people. So good luck. You got a 10% chance. Congrats, Ashley. $25 Amazon e-gift card. So it's going to get emailed right to you. We already got your email. That'll get sent your way. Don't spend it all in one place. And again, thank you all. Follow us on our social media channels. And we'll see you next time. Signing off here from Mid-Michigan. Thanks, everybody.